Hello and welcome back to Robbie's Arcade. Well, we're going to look at it, possibly one of the worst Street Fighter games that's ever been made. Which is a real shame because there's actually quite a lot of reasons why this game isn't that bad at all. I mean, the Street Fighter game, don't get me wrong, it plays like crap. And graphically it looks unlike any Street Fighter you've ever seen. But nevertheless, this is one of those movie licenses that was just inevitable. It was a movie that was based on a game, and now of course we're looking at the game of the movie of the game. So, you know, try to keep up, it may get confusing. This harks back all the way to 1995. Whether it came out at the exact same time as the movie, I believe it was actually a little bit delayed. I know for a fact that it did not do well. In the arcades, the version we're playing today is definitely the version that did better. The home console versions really died on their arse. They had a couple of extra characters, but mainly it was truly awful. There's so many reasons why this is a terrible game. I mean, straight away, the music itself, although not terrible, everything feels like it's a desperate version of Street Fighter. Look at the background here with E Honda and Cammy, played by Kylie Minogue, I believe. Just there in the background of that last scene, and here we have some combat here. So in the background we have Akuma just wandering about there. I don't remember Akuma in the film. I honestly don't remember Akuma being in that film. But nevertheless, here we are. So this is what happens when the arcade's booted up. As you can also see the credit system there at the bottom. The noise this arcade makes when you insert a coin is truly awful. Listen to that. That is the worst. But, I mean, the music within the game, the combat itself, there's so many things wrong with this game, which is a shame, because there were lots of things about this game that are actually done quite right. So what we'll do is we'll play it a little bit, and then I'll give you some more facts later on in the video. But here's our character select screen. So again, bit sparse, and looks so much like Mortal Kombat that, quite frankly, I think Legal have got their work cut out for them. Let's go for the old classic. Oh, by the way, Blade. Who the hell is Blade? Never heard of him. And also we have Akuma. Once again, not only was he not in the film, but I can't remember the first game that ever had Akuma as a clickable character. He was either secret or glitch. So here we go. This is Ryu versus Vega at Command Center, spelt badly. So the fireball, not the end of the world there, not too terrible, and Vega's flip does avoid weaponry, avoid projectiles even. But the animations just feel like there's a few frames missing per move, and the whole thing just looks like a cross between Killer Instinct and Mortal Kombat. You can definitely see they've tried to emulate that with this game. That throw, the animation there was terrible. I'm not quite certain what the plan was there for that throw. I should also add, I'm currently playing this on the easiest setting. Anyone that's ever played Street Fighter on 1 star will know that the enemy just sits there and takes it. If this is 1 star, then God only knows how hard this game must be at the hardest setting. And by the way, is anyone else half expecting it to say finish him? I mean, this is the first Street Fighter, Freudian slip there, again, I've ever seen that has stop motion recording as the characters. So, let's go back into this. Let's try Ken. Let's see who's Sawada? I didn't even notice him. Never heard of that guy at all. Okay, because I can't see me doing especially well here today. Let's have a look. Because you can't even use the original attack and combo patterns such as Sweet Fireball. I mean, they've gone to the trouble of, because they've obviously got actors to do the poses and stuff, you can definitely see an improvement on a number of the visuals. Oh, are we going to get somewhere? No. Like with the fireballs and the way the actors have performed certain animations. Also, can I just take a moment to look at that audience there that are cheering this fight on? I get the impression, I'm pretty sure that's just 4 people repeated. Definitely, look at those 2 of those guys. And the guy in the green shirt has reappeared twice as well. But there's just little inconsistencies, such as the background using lots of photos and recordings, but at the same time, I tell you what, if I don't win this round. But they're using lots of photos and full motion video, but then the helicopter is some terrible parody of a helicopter there. Also, I don't remember that move from Street Fighter from Ken either. Apparently there are super moves, but I mean, I'll be buggered if I know how to perform them. And these moves do not want to pull off. And I'm using, I don't know if you've noticed, a typical SNES controller here for this emulation. So it's not like this isn't a tool for the job. This is very much a tool for the job. So this must have been truly terrible to form moves back in the arcade. So at the moment, as we can see, Vega is really taking me to the cleaners. What we'll do is we'll get back to the title screen. We're going to pause it a second and I'll give you some more background information on this game. So straight away, it was released in 1995, June 1995 in the arcades. Obviously in partnership with Capcom, they own Street Fighter, with incredible technology 32-bit systems. And that was the arcade cabinet as well. It was a 2-player game that also featured a tag team mode, which was quite fantastic as well. But it wasn't really switching one for one. It was round based. On top of that, on top of the usual super moves that we've seen, obviously originally pioneered in Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, the game also included regeneration moves where you could use some of that super bar to get some of your health back. Again, never heard of that in a Street Fighter game. Killer Instinct and Mortal Kombat, definitely. And this seemed like this wasn't developed by people that made Street Fighter. It seems the team that Capcom must have got to do this game had either not played Street Fighter or thought, there's Killer Instinct and Mortal Kombat, let's nick some of that. On top of that, this was one of the first Street Fighter games to include interrupt moves. Now, those that are familiar with Street Fighter X and Street Fighter Alpha will know an interrupt move is when you can, in Street Fighter Alpha, you would press forward while you're being hit to counter that, and then you could give an attack back. A technique that became insanely popular, particularly in tournaments, and there's a famous YouTube clip of a final between someone playing Chun-Li and Ryu, where a guy manages to counter and interrupt every single hit of a Chun-Li combo. So it's a big deal, and the fact that it pioneered here but never went on to become anything, that comeback, that automatic counter, it's great to see it here. And, in terms of gameplay mechanics, really ahead of its time, but it's just a shame such a thing was wasted on this god-awful game. And likewise, there were other characters that were envisioned for this, because originally this was supposed to be Street Fighter 3. Now, whether that was the team behind it, I don't know. But originally it was slated to be Street Fighter 3 with loose connections to the film. But later on in development, the people that were building it were basically reclassed to making it based on the movie. So the mechanic, presumably this Street Fighter 3 originally was envisaged as a Mortal Kombat Killer Instinct competitor with this kind of engine, but of course then it was reappropriated to be connected to the film. I mean, the original, there was going to be Retsu, Geki, Lee, Mega Man as well, surprisingly, quite early for such an Easter egg character. Now, of course, it didn't happen to be the case, and Street Fighter 3 became a far better hand-drawn-esque kind of Street Fighter game that came later. But, I mean, other facts directly about this Street Fighter, the movie, the game, the movie, whatever we're calling it. One of the characters missing from there is T-Hawk. T-Hawk was in the film. The reason he wasn't in there was because he never showed up for the animating of the characters, and they just left him out because of it. So, the actor, Greg Rainwater, lazy. I hope you had that day off for a reason, but now you're not in the game. Game over. Next, Dhalsim. Dhalsim was in the movie. He was a scientist, not really featured, kind of experimenting unwillingly on a character who ended up being Blanca. But of course he's missing from the game, largely because, the whole stretchy arm fireball stuff never really made it into the motion picture. Likewise, as already mentioned, this was the first Street Fighter game to have Akuma as a selectable character. Something that up until then had never happened. He was considered a bit of a cheap character. We're going to play him next in a second. But having Akuma playable, even if I don't remember the actor being in the movie, and it looks nothing like Akuma, no trademark jewellery there with the large beads, the fact that he's in it is quite impressive indeed, and if anything, a bloody waste that they wasted it on this game to be the first opportunity. So let's go back into this, and as mentioned, we're going to be Akuma. And quite frankly, this guy Vega on the easiest setting is really starting to get on my nerves. So we've got the fireball at least, but we don't appear to have a dragon punch, unless it's performed slightly different in this game. No, I don't think we do. We do have a flaming hurricane kick, or Senpuyu Kaku, I can't remember what it's pronounced exactly. I can't believe I did something as cheap as that sweeping win. So we got the symbol at the back. I assume the Raging Demon super move is his super move of choice in this, but you know, why risk it? Oh, no, I don't think I'm going to be winning this today. Again, Akuma, anyone that's ever played Akuma will know he is an insanely cheap character. Oh, look at that, I finally won a round. Do you know what, I'm probably going to wrap things up there, to be honest. If you do want to see a full playthrough of this game, then do check out the channel later. I intend to try and complete this game and live stream me completing this game with one of these godforsaken characters. How terrible is that background, by the way? Just really take it in there. Now, I don't remember the... Oh, there we go, fireball battle. I don't remember the film too well. I do remember certain characters being captured. I also always thought it was strange that the main character in the game was Guile, of all people, because Guile was never really a main character for me in the main franchise. But I digress. That's all about me. What I'm going to do is see if this last round can do anything for me. But once again, if you are interested in seeing old style arcade games and you've got a suggestion or a recommendation of a game you'd like me to play, or something that you just think is just worth checking out, oh, I'm so cheap cornering Chung-Li here, then bung it in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because of course this channel exists to give you old arcade games. And if you do check out in the comments, I will try and include exactly where to get hold of these games, and of course get them legally and legitimately. Can't stress that enough. But otherwise, again, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to watch next time, and do check out my video coming soon on Street Fighter 1, the original Street Fighter game that started it all. But otherwise, thanks for watching.